What's up guys, this is Al, and in today's episode I'm going to be giving you 10 tips to make your life easier if you're a handyman, plumber, electrician, or anybody else that uses their hand to make a living. So let's go ahead and get started with tip number 1. Do not use your customer's bathroom without permission. Yes, if you need to use the bathroom, always ask. 99.9% of the time your customer is going to be okay with it, but don't just help yourself and go use the bathroom. And if you're gonna use the bathroom, do not ever go number 2 at your customer's house. That is just nasty. You don't know if your customer is gonna walk in there right after you and smell you. You don't want your customer to remember you by your smell. You want your customer to remember you by your work. And if you're gonna go to the bathroom, make sure you always wipe the toilet. Lift the toilet seat, and if you're gonna pee, make sure you wipe it. You will always get piss all over the toilet seat. And that is just the way it works. Make sure you actually clean up after yourself. And even if the toilet's nasty, just go ahead, get some tissue, wet it, and just wipe the toilet bowl. Your customer's gonna notice that, especially if they don't clean their stuff. Tip number 2, do not smoke around your customer's house or in front of them. If you need to smoke, if you're a smoker, go outside by the street where you parked, on the opposite side of your vehicle, so even if you smoke, your customer's not gonna see you. After you're done smoking, make sure you chew some gum so that way your breath doesn't stink of smoke. Not everybody likes the smell of smoke, and even other smokers don't like the smell of smoke of other people's. So make sure, chew some gum, and go outside if you do need to smoke. Or better yet, just wait until you get done with the job. Tip number 3, that is be clear. What do I mean by that? Well, if you do an estimate, make sure you're 100% clear with everything. Don't assume your customer knows everything. Let me give you an example. Water leaks. Normally, if they happen inside the house, well, the drywall's gonna get messed up, right? So a lot of people are gonna hire you to go fix it. Well, if you do an estimate, you gotta be 100% clear with your customer that you're gonna go patch it. But that's it. If you open the wall and everything is rotted out inside the wall, that is not included in the quote. No electrical, no outlet moving, nothing else is included and put it in writing. You gotta be 100% clear with these people. So to avoid issues, be 100% clear. And a lot of the times, you won't even know yourself. So this is hard to actually prevent because sometimes you're just gonna have to learn the hard way. Tip number 4, do not fix anything without asking your customer first. And what I'm talking about is stuff that you did not get hired to fix. Let me give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, I was replacing an exhaust fan for a bathroom. I was in the attic, and as I'm walking in the attic, I see the other bathroom's vent is not connected. So I'm trying to do a good deed, right? And I tried to connect it back. But before I did, I took a picture just to show it to the customer, because that's a brownie point, and then if you do stuff like that, people are gonna remember you, right? Well, as I'm trying to connect it, the freaking thing falls through the ceiling, and I barely put any pressure on it, while the customer was downstairs using the bathroom. Well, thankfully, it was a male customer, it wasn't a female, otherwise I probably would have been in jail right now for being a rapist, you know, especially in today's society. But anyways, so I go downstairs, the customer is upset, they think I actually stepped on it, but thankfully, I took a picture of it. Anytime I touch anything, I always take a picture of it before. So I showed it to him, and then he understood. And what happened was, whoever installed that exhaust fan 20 years ago, they didn't screw it into the stud. It was just a bunch of joint compound all around it, holding it in place. So as soon as I put some pressure on it, the thing cracked and then fell through the ceiling. So now I had to fix it for free because I touched it. I did not ask the customer, and you know, that took me about 2.5 hours. If I had asked the customer first, I could have told him that if I touched it and it breaks or something happens, I am not liable for it, and if they want me to connect it back or not. So even if it's something simple like that, guys, even if you're not gonna be charging, because I wasn't gonna charge this guy, I was just trying to be nice, and just trying to be nice bit me in the rear. So do not ever fix something for free, even for free, without asking your customer first and tell them the worst case scenario. Tip number 5. If you show up to somebody's house and you're fixing somebody else's mess, for one, that's a red flag for me, and most customers that try to hire me to fix somebody else's mess, I usually quote super high, because I don't know what the other person did, and then that assures that if I show up to do the work, you know, it will actually cover redoing the whole thing again. You just never know. So those are red flags for me. But sometimes the customers, you know, they're nice and they actually just need help. So if you show up to do something like that, fix somebody else's mess, do not critique the work. Just do what you're getting paid for and be done. Do not talk down the previous contractor. Because, believe it or not, a lot of the times, these types of jobs are done by the customer. They didn't hire another contractor. The contractor did not stop showing up. It was then they tried doing it themselves. And then they realized that they just were not able to do it, so they called somebody else. And a lot of people are embarrassed to actually admit it. So what they do is they just blame it on a contractor they hired, and then the guy just never showed up, or the poor work. When you start critiquing the work, you just never know. It could have been the homeowner that did it. And then, you know, people are sensitive nowadays, so you don't want to offend your customer, because even if you do amazing work, they may take whatever critique that you have personal, and then they just won't call you back because, well, you know, you offended them. Tip number 6, guys, and that is, do not touch your customer's stuff. Do not steal. If you're working at somebody's house and you need to move furniture so you can get the job done, always ask your customer. And if it's something that you think it's going to break or something delicate, take a picture of it before. If you're gonna be in a room where your customer's personal belongings are in, and you're not, and they're not gonna be anywhere around you, always take a quick picture of everything around it. Just quick, or a video. So that way, if something goes missing, you don't get blamed for it. Because you are new to their household. If something goes missing, you are gonna be the first person they're gonna blame. It's just the way it works. And when moving furniture around, moving stuff around, you just never know if the stuff is going to break or if it was already broken. And some people don't have integrity, so you move it, the legs fall off, and then you tell the customer, and then even though the stuff was probably already broke, they're gonna act like it was not, and then guess what? You're gonna have to pay for it. Some people are like that, they're not honest. And obviously, do not steal for your customer. If you like to take stuff that doesn't belong to you, you're never gonna make it in life. And that applies to anything else out there, not just being a handyman. A lot of people like me simply because they can trust me. They can lift their wallets out there, money, jewelry, and I don't even look at their stuff. If I even notice on the corner of my eye somebody left their wallet on the counter, I like walk around it. I make a huge circle. I try to stay several feet away from their stuff because I don't want to get blamed for anything. I will never take anybody's stuff. And you know, people notice that, so always assume people are watching you too. So just because the customer is not in that room, don't just, you know, assume that you're not being watched. Everybody nowadays, they have cameras everywhere inside their house, and they will see everything you do. So anyways, tip number 7, give change back. All right, what do I mean by that? So let's say you're doing a job for $250. You're done. The customer hands you $260. Don't just pocket the money and walk away. Pull out $10 and give your customer their change back. A lot of the times they're just tipping you, but it's just being polite, being professional to give the change back, and don't just expect stuff, because you're not entitled to anything besides the money that you worked for. Anytime somebody gives me money, I always, 100% of the time, pull change back. And so far, 100% of the time, for the past few years, people just say, just keep it. But you know what? People comment on it. And they're like, I have never had anybody do that to me. It just something that most people won't do. Most people would just pocket the money. But I've been that way before I even became a handyman, so that comes natural to me, but it may not come natural to you. And guess what? Your customer is going to remember that. Tip number 8. Pick up after yourself, guys. If you make a mess, always clean up after yourself. And to make your life easier, just go above and beyond, covering everything up before you even start working. It will make your life a lot easier. Even if the area you're working in is filthy, trashy, when you get done working in that area, clean it. Leave it better than what you found it. You know what's gonna happen? When you leave, even if you did amazing work, your customer's not gonna remember that. They're gonna remember you left the area cleaner than what it was, because for then, when you see something every single day, it becomes normal. And then when something changes, like cleaning it up, to you it may not be obvious, to them it's gonna be extremely obvious, and they're gonna remember you as a handyman that cleaned after himself. Tip number 9, guys. Alright, so that is look clean, guys. Wear clean clothes, smell good, take showers every day or every other day at least. It is normal human behavior to judge other people based on how they look. Even if people refuse to acknowledge they don't judge other people, they do. It's just automatic, and it happens within the first few seconds you meet somebody. So when you meet a potential customer, you don't want them to think of you as trashy, smelly, unkept. You want to look clean. I wear the same clothes every day, but guess what? My clothes are clean and I smell good. So, and obviously get haircuts every once in a while. And if you have a beard like I do, you know, get it trimmed every once in a while. Don't just look like a caveman. It goes a long ways, and that's gonna be the first impression people are gonna get of you when they first meet you, before you even open your mouth, before you even start doing any work. And the last tip, guys, that is protect your rear. Yes, cover your ass, guys. Let me give you an example. You're changing a faucet. You notice their shadow valves are about to blow up. So you tell the customer, hey, your stuff is gonna start leaking anytime. Do you want me to change them? Obviously, that's gonna cost extra. Most people are gonna say, is it leaking right now? Your answer is gonna be no. Then they're gonna be like, well, don't change it then. Okay, fine. You change the faucet, you take the money, you walk away. 2, 3, 4 years pass by. Then the customer's house floods because one of the shadow valves fails. The customer's not gonna blame you because they know they refuse to change it when they could. Most people are gonna be honest like that. But guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna make an insurance claim. The insurance is gonna find any way for them not to pay off the claim. And they're gonna go back in time. 5, 10, 15 years. It doesn't matter how far back it was. And they're gonna see you were the last person in that area. And they're gonna assume you are the one that caused the leak. They're gonna assume that faucet replacement includes replacing the shadow valves. And if you don't have any proof that you told the customer to change it and they refused, you are in deep trouble. Your handyman career could just end right there, especially if you have no insurance. You are done. You don't want to be that guy. So, let me tell you how I protect my ass anytime I deal with electrical or water. I always ask the customer to fix stuff that I think it's going to break, especially things that are around the area where I'm working, like shadow valves. I tell them, your shadow valves look old, you probably need to replace them. Customer says, no, they're fine. I'm like, okay. So guess what I do on the invoice? I put in there, shadow valve replacement recommended, but refused by customer. That little sentence right there will save your ass down the line if there is ever any issues with those shadow valves. Even if you did not touch them, even if you did not replace them. So always think outside the box and always cover your rear. And that applies for everything, guys, not just shadow valves. You know, I'm talking about electrical. You see, what you're in the attic, you're walking in the attic, you're changing a ceiling fan for whatever reason, you're in the attic or anywhere else, and you see wires that are not in a junction box, but they happen to be in the same area where you're working. Well, guess what? You're gonna tell the customer that needs to be fixed. And if they refuse to pay you for it, well, fine. You're not gonna work for free, but you're gonna put it in your your invoice that you noticed the deficiency and customer refused to get it repaired. Or just simply put in there, you advise customer to get it repaired. That little sentence will save your rear. But anyways, guys, those are some of the tips that I've learned over the years being a handyman. And most of them I learned the hard way, or I've seen other people learn the hard way. So hopefully this helps you out. If you have your own tips, comment below, because we are a community, and the more we help each other, you know, the more we can succeed in life. And as always, if you like the video, don't forget to like it, guys. I will see you next time.